Narcissism and anxiety. Narcissism and anxiety is one of those things that basically goes hand in hand. You really can't have one without the other. And part of the reason for that is by design, the narcissist is using every tool at their disposal to keep you confused, to keep that anxiety level up, and to keep the intensity of it up so that you're constantly questioning what's going on, not really sure of your own decision-making abilities or even what you're actually experiencing. Now, the problem with this is it causes a lot of issues. You'll experience stress, anxiety, depression, anger, and all of those things result in a physical conditions as well. You can have eating problems. Whether you're eating too much or you're not eating enough. Sleep issues, where you just can't sleep, where you have insomnia. You're staying up all night with your mind racing, trying to figure out what's going on. This also will impact your concentration, your ability to reason, your ability to be rational on what is going on in your situation. And again, that rolls back to what I said at the beginning, it's by design. The more that they can keep you off balance, the more that you're basically in this state of confusion and not really understanding what's going on, it really gives you less time and opportunity to really look at what they're doing and to be able to take a step back and see the big picture. Because things are constantly happening and you're constantly being bombarded with gaslighting and just crazy making type behavior to where you don't even really have the opportunity to calm down and take a break. Now, one of the things I'll ask you to think about is, in your situation, whenever you did feel calm and things seemed to be okay, did something happen to basically pull the rug out from underneath you? And that's a very typical trait and a typical tactic of a narcissist, because that, again, gets them control, gets you off balance, and allows them to control your emotional state. Here's the other issue with that, is once you're quote unquote done. Let's say you've escaped the situation or you've separated or something's happened to where you've basically eliminated or minimized the ability of the narcissist to basically get under your skin. So let's say things basically feel like they've calmed down. The problem, not that that's a problem, that's really a good thing, but one of the things that starts to happen when you start to feel more secure is a lot of those emotions and those feelings that you've been basically putting in the back closet, not acknowledging, not dealing with, are gonna start coming up. It's kind of like when your situation feels a little safer, then your subconscious is like, oh, okay, well now we can deal with those. Which the problem with that is, or the downside to that, is a lot of those issues that I was talking about before that you might be having while you're in the relationship creep back up. So, you feel like everything's great, but then there's this sense of dread that's following you that again manifests itself by eating problems and sleeping problems and just, overall anxiety type issues. The other issue with this is pretty much any external trigger can cause you to have a backslide. It doesn't even have to be from the narcissist. It could be just a reminder of the situation, or and it's really bizarre because it can be somebody does or says something that you've experienced before and it causes a direct flashback or a PTSD response. However, conversely, if things are going really well, it can also cause that same type of problem. So if you find yourself in a situation where you don't understand what's happened and why you're feeling the way you are, a lot of times what ends up happening is it's like a complex post-traumatic stress disorder issue. And the frustrating part about that is you have those responses, but you don't understand where they came from. For example, a normal PTSD response that I think most of us experience is, we'll use the car scenario where early on when the relationship's over, when you see their car or a car like theirs, you instantly have this reaction and it's tied to that, right? Because that vehicle ties to that person and it caused you to feel a certain way. Now those are a little bit easier because you can you see what's causing it, and not easier, but you can deal with it more up front because you're like, okay, well, this type of car is causing this type of reaction. Even when it's not them, I still feel the same way. And you can rationalize it and you can start to basically, when it happens, to say, okay, well, It's not their car. You can kind of be mindful. They're not here in the environment. You can do things to basically help you deal with it. The problem with complex post-traumatic stress responses is it doesn't hide anything. Right? And the example I was just giving you a minute ago, where when things are good, where somebody is nice to you and boom, all of a sudden you're having this trigger response and you don't understand it. Most of the time, it's because it's reminding you indirectly of either how the person treated you or how you wish they would have treated you. I went through this a lot in the early stages of this, where, especially with my relationship with Debbie, where when she would treat me in a way that I hadn't been treated before, in other words, with respect, she was aware of my, emotional state. She wasn't putting me down constantly. To be perfectly honest, I know I've talked about this before, when I would make little self-derogatory comments about myself, she would actually stop me and say, why are you doing that, right? And there would be times where something would happen and I would, in my mind, know how my ex would respond, how my mom would respond, how all the other narcissists in my life would respond, and she would respond the complete opposite. And that completely threw me for a loop. And that's another one of those things you have to be a little bit worried about. Well, not a little bit worried about that. You have to be worried about whenever you're going through this, because it can catch you off guard. The key to dealing with this is recognizing what it is. Recognizing that your anxiety is caused by that fear and that those triggers that you've dealt with in the past and that you're currently dealing with now. And it can feel completely overwhelming. It's really not a lot. It's really not a great experience. And the thing is that once you can recognize what it is, in other words, once you can slow yourself down just enough to say, okay, I'm having an anxiety attack, or I'm having a flashback, and you can say, what exactly is causing it? Why is this happening? There's nothing going on right at this moment to really be a trigger for it. And conversely, if you are dealing with, like, let's say your ex has said something or you've interacted with them, recognize what's going on. Recognize that they're trying to, when it's directly, that they're doing it to you. They're trying to get under your skin, and that's by design to emotionally control you. And conversely, if you're dealing with something where it just feels overwhelming, just take a step back, take a breath, and realize that you're having a response to past trauma. And I don't want to say it's okay, but it's normal. It's one of those things that we all have gone through, and some of you out there are still going through this right now. And although it's not an enjoyable experience and it makes you feel like you're going to be stuck, it's part of the healing process, which that is a good thing. And the more that you can recognize what's going on, the more you can recognize that all of this stuff has just been built up over a long period of time to get under your skin, to get you confused, to get you to question your own reality, and ultimately to give the narcissist, the other person in your relationship, the emotional control over you. It's a slow process. It takes a long time to recover from this. It takes a long time to really, you can understand it logically, and then you're going to have to basically deal with it emotionally until it really starts to make sense and the impact of it starts to subside. But it does actually start to go down. It just, like I said, it just takes a long time, and it's a really slow process. Now, one of the things I'll tell you is, if you're having that and you're just in the confines of your own environment, then surround yourself with stuff that eliminates chaos. Don't watch movies that are very stressful. Like, don't watch, Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or any of those things that's just tense and stressful and causes that anxiety and that feeling to build up, right? Those are great when everything's fine and your life is on track and you want to watch something to kind of like, oh, okay, I want to feel something that makes me feel sad. I want to watch something that makes me feel sad, or I want to watch something that makes me feel suspenseful. in your situation, if you're dealing with this, that's the last thing you need to do. You need to be surrounding yourself with calm things, listening to relaxing music. I would even avoid anger music or really sad music or anything that really drives in those emotions, because it keeps you stuck in those feelings. Same thing with TV shows. Watch comedies, watch things that don't trigger you. If you're watching something and it's making you think about your relationship, or it's making you think about your loss, or any of those things, shut it off. Shut it off and go for a walk, go do something different. It takes little steps day by day to help you get through this. Okay, I'm going to wrap this video up. If you want to add some more discussion in the comments below, please do that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. If you haven't already gone over to the website and signed up for the newsletter at dadsurvivingdivorce.com, please run over there and do that. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll chat with you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.